Hello! Today I'm going to talk about frequently used instructional terms. These are especially used in special education. Just talk about what these terms mean and how we use them in the classroom. So we're going to talk about modifications, interventions, accommodations, differentiations, adaptations, and specially designed instruction. So first we have interventions. These are specific skill building strategies implemented and monitored to improve a targeted skill. In other words, what's actually already known. And achieve adequate progress in a specific area. So this can be academic or behavioral. So for scenario, this is Jordan. He's a fifth grader who's struggling with reading, no specific learning disabilities. We would use an intervention to help Jordan meet certain goals through one-on-one instruction between the teacher and Jordan for 30 minutes a couple times a week. This collaboration would be between teachers. It would be between the reading or general education teacher. We do have a older elementary, so he might have a specific English language arts teacher, or he might just have a general education teacher. And then between the special education teacher and then possibly a specific learning disability coach, if we determine that there could be a possibility of a learning disability there. This group would decide some learning goals for Jordan surrounding his reading and comprehension and fluency. So the interventions, they ensure the playing field. They just make sure every kid can actually go into education and feel very prepared for that education. They're designed to help students make progress toward predetermined benchmarks. So this is usually their curriculum benchmarks, any standards that we need to meet by the end of the year. These are meant to just help students make progress towards those benchmarks. They teach new skills or build upon pre-existing skills that need reinforcement. Pretty straightforward. And then they focus, every one of the instructional terms just focuses on the needs of the individual student. So next we have modifications. These are changes in the course of study, standards prep, test prep, location, timing, scheduling, expectations, student response, any other attribute which provides access for a student with a disability. So these are not, modifications are not for students without IEPs. Modifications must be used for students with IEPs. They cannot be used in any other way. And then these are for students to participate in a course, standard, or test that would otherwise be unachievable. So for a scenario, Olivia's a ninth grader who's just diagnosed with developmental delay, has struggled with learning history at some point at the same rate and this with the same support as her peers. Because of this, she gets behind in class easily and struggles to follow along with the class during instruction. We can use modifications to give her different readings, less complicated assignments and assessments, and these allow her to continue to learn with the class, even if it's at a slightly lower level. The people that will collaborate with this child will be Olivia's special education teacher, as she is already in an IEP, her history teacher, and any educational or occupational therapist that she's seeing. So she is an older student, so she would be seeing an occupational therapist most likely at this time. So modifications, they create the playing field. They make sure that every student can participate in the activities. They design a very differentiated benchmark. So these are benchmarks that are not necessarily in the curriculum, but are student-specific, student-centered benchmarks. They fundamentally alter the standards or expectations of the course or the standard or the test. So depending on what the student is already achieving, we can alter these standards and alter these expectations to help them. Next is accommodations. So these are alterations in the way that a task is presented that allows students with a disability to complete the same assignment as other children. Accommodations aren't necessarily with children with disabilities, but they can apply especially to these. So for our scenario, Dylan is a fifth grader who loves reading and math, but struggles with testing anxiety, especially when the tests are timed. So these teachers have noticed lately that it's been impacting his scores in his classes and want to provide help. We can use accommodations to give him the ability to go to another room when testing and get rid of a time constraint. So that way, Dylan can just test in peace. There's no need for anxiety. The collaborators in this scenario would be his general education teacher and his special education teacher, and just so we can provide that safe space for him to test and make sure that there's no outside forces impacting his anxiety. So accommodations, they level the playing field. They put everyone at level 0, just they make it possible for everyone to be successful at the predetermined benchmark. This is not changing the benchmark. This is not changing the access to the benchmark, but simply allowing people to be able, or allowing students to be able to be successful to the point of achieving the benchmark. This also allows students without IEPs to get alterations in the way tasks are presented. And again, focuses on the needs of the individual student. So next is differentiations. This is a teaching method for groups of students. This method works best with groups who learn in similar ways, allowing them to learn together better. So Diana, Sarah, and Lucas are all at the same reading level. They learn best by writing or speaking a summary after listening or reading an article or a story. Their teacher uses differentiated instruction so that she can have them work together in a group so that they can summarize the story that they're reading during class. So this teacher might have several different groups. So one student or one set of students might be like at a lower reading level. This group of students might be at a medium, like kind of right at grade level. And then she might have another group of students that are higher achievers that are going above and beyond and at a higher reading level. So she might group them up into those groups so that they can all learn the best. She can catch those kids that are behind, she can catch them up. Those kids that are at reading level that can work with each other and just learn from each other. And then those kids that are at a higher reading level can work together and continue to grow and continue to stay on that path. The teacher might collaborate with a special education teacher to figure out which students learn best and how she can best help each group of students to learn. Differentiations use flexible groups. So however you want to put those together, that's how they learn. It lets students learn at their own pace. So it can be especially useful for those higher achievers who just want to go above and beyond and just get a bunch of work out of the way. And then for those lower achievers who need the extra mile, need the extra help, and then it allows us to help them as much as possible. It also allows students to learn at their specific level of knowledge with a group of students that are at the same level. So they aren't feeling like they're being looked down upon by the higher achievers or that they're being slowed down by the lower achievers. And again, focuses on the need of every individual student. Next is adaptations. It's a change in the curriculum or aspect of the curriculum made by a teacher or another educator to help a student or a set of students understand a concept better. So this goes under our accommodations and our modifications. This is kind of like that umbrella term for it. So Sophie and Daniel are both first graders who are struggling with adding and subtracting. They understand the basic idea, but don't really understand how, like, the physical concept of I have 2 apples. What happens if I add 2 more apples to that? How many apples do I have now? That's hard. Their teacher is going to give them manipulative. So this could be a number line. This can be chips. This can be pretty much anything that helps a student add and subtract, and then guides them through certain questions and maybe their homework, their assignment, their instruction, whatever it is. This education teacher might talk with a special education teacher to discuss strategies that can help her students grow and learn math and use these supports to their fullest. And then when they're used to these supports and like used to using them, she can take them away and help them use or try the math on their own without the supports that they've been using. All right, adaptation. So these are use groups of students or individuals. Let students work with the course content. So again, with those manipulatives, working with the actual, how many apples do I have? I have 2 apples. Jordan gives me 2 more, then I have 4 apples. It allows students, again, to learn at their specific level of knowledge with a group of students that are at that same level. And then, as always, focus on the needs of the individual student. And finally, our specially designed instruction. These are the adaptations that are appropriate to the eligible students. So this is for students with IEPs specifically. Help them learn or adapt the content, the methodology, the delivery of the instruction to address the unique needs of that student from the viewpoint of that student's disability. And ensures access to the entire general curriculum. So Dahlia is a 3rd grader with autism who qualifies for special education, receives education in a co-taught setting. So this is a classroom with both a general education teacher and a special education teacher. Her special education teacher tends to adapt materials and instructions so that Dahlia can best understand the materials and stay on the same track as her classmates. So she's not falling behind. She's not necessarily learning different material. She's learning the same material, just at a different level. And then this collaboration is mainly between her general education teacher and the special education teacher or paraprofessional that is in her classroom, and they are co-teaching together for Dahlia. So for these, this can be provided in a variety of domains. So if we have a kid with academic issues, a kid with behavioral issues, a kid with social issues, we can help them grow in this specifically designed instruction. It accounts for a student's disability to provide modifications and adaptations for the content, and it addresses the student's disability. So this is specific to each individual child, very specific towards the actual child's disability. All right, thank you so much. Here are my references. Have a wonderful day.